Welcome to the Rise Above show with Patricia Jo Grover, where we rise above our challenges and turn believers into achievers. Today, I have with me the sponsor of our show, 133 Approved Funding, Roosevelt Morris. And let me tell you a little bit about Roosevelt. You know, he has an author, a speaker, and he's been a nationally certified CEO in the funding industry. And he's the president and the CEO of 133 Approved Funding. You know, for 11 years in the insurance and finance industry, Roosevelt, he's learned to know what it's like when people get turned down and how people lose hope when they're trying to do a building of their dream or their business. He's now dedicated to helping you flourish and prosper in your business and regain happiness in your life because he believes is like a three-legged stool, and I'll let him share some of this with you. He's going to be a speaker on the Rise Above Summit, and this time around in both the financial dimension of life and the social dimension of life. Welcome to the show, Roosevelt.
Hello, Patty. Thanks for having me.
You know, we've had some great conversations, and with you being a speaker on the summit and with us for several times now in the financial dimension, but now really spreading out and sharing the story with people about how different things in the funding work, whether it be in what you share in the summit is about consumer financing. But let's have you tell people a little bit about who you are, how you serve, and what differences that you're making for people in a positive way when it has to do with their finances.
Okay, Patty. Well, hello, everyone. As Patty said, I'm the president and CEO of 133 Approved Funding. Now, what is 133 Approved Funding? So basically, when I started out early on, our thing was we do just simple one-page application, 3 to 5 minutes to fill it out, and 3 to 5 days you're funded. So 133, and you're approved for funding. So that's where we started, because when I started out in the insurance industry, I noticed that a lot of people were designed for insurance for credit reasons. Okay, and so a lot of businesses who called in for insurance couldn't get it, and because their business was not on track and they needed money. So I applied for it myself, and fortunately, because I was in the industry, I got it. And so I saw a way that it could help small businesses and startups to get started, and the ones that were in business who were getting trampled and couldn't really afford to stay in, so to help them to stay in business. So our bottom line motto is helping business to stay in business. And so I saw another area about 3 or 4 years ago where small businesses who were getting crushed before the pandemic, who were getting crushed, we brought up a program called consumer finance. Now, everybody knows consumer financing, houses, cars, consumer finance, but the small business owner really didn't have a knack on it. So getting into that portion of it, and our motto of helping businesses to stay in business, that was a way I saw where businesses, small businesses, startups, and even established business could stay strong and offer their products and services for the client. Now, unfortunately, Pat, I did realize that a lot of businesses are struggling financially, and a lot of business owners are struggling emotionally and health-wise. So I talk on that in the health area, in the social area, because I know that business owners are suffering in all those three areas. I've suffered in those areas before. I just want to give them a taste, a tool, and a way to help them to get through that, even before they get the funding, even before they do the consumer finance, to let them know there is hope. Okay?
Right, Roosevelt. And I know that the story that you shared with me, how you got into this to begin with. Um, can you share a little bit of that story so people can understand, how, how it is that this came about for you? because
Right.
with the show, I always ask if people share a struggle they may have had in their personal or professional life and how they made it through. And obviously, this this was something that came across like this for you. So, and when people know
Right.
that makes that connection stronger.
Okay. Well, Patty, it was, I remember this like it was yesterday. Okay. I was working in the industry because I was a senior repair technician and I worked on banking equipment. So when I came into a place and fixed their product, their predictive dollars and everything, that means they made money. So I was the good guy. They loved me. Okay. Now on the last trip coming from the Dominican Republic, working on this banking system, I came back early because I had done what I was supposed to do, and I'd been there a month, and I was ready to get back home. So I came back early, and within on a Friday, within 2 hours of landing, I went from being a senior repair technician making multi six figures to being unemployed, a laid off, unemployed technician, divorced, and within 2 weeks being homeless. And how that happened was I landed. I got a call from from my manager, went into his office thinking I was going to get pats on the back because I just saved a $5 million contract. Okay. That I went into the office, first person I saw was HR. She said, "Hello, Miss Morris. My name is Susan Neal. I'm the head of HR. Effective immediately, you no longer work here. We need your American Express, your Donna Club, and your badge." Now, I know I was in shock because the only thing I thought about was, "Oh, you want my Diners Club? I like that card." Okay. But anyway, so she said, "Security's at the door with your box, all of your things that are on your desk." Okay. So driving home, I was thinking I can do good. I got home, came around the bend, saw a moving truck, thought we had neighbors coming in, but it was my wife moving out of my house with my kids. Okay. Long story short, I went in the house after our discussion, and there was the divorce papers and the eviction notice, the 2-week eviction notice on the desk, on the table, because over the last 6 months, me and I had traveled so much that she wasn't paying the bill. She wasn't paying the mortgage, so she was working on her way out. So there was a lost a job, divorce, and eviction notice that within about a week, I was out of the house. Fortunately, yet unfortunately, I just bought my, what you call it, my midlife crisis car that guys go through, my my Mercedes S550 AMG. And I owned it because I paid for it cash because I could do it like that. It was a mortgage pay. It was a mortgage for the car, but it became my house for the next few months. And I used my savings to get it out. But anyway, I was parked behind a Goodwill. Didn't know it. And the next day, so I decided to go in that day, get back into the workforce because I couldn't do it anymore. Something clicked and said, "Dude, you're a Marine. You've got training. You don't give up. You know what you need to do. Let's do it. You're not a loser." And so the next morning I went in. I had hit rock bottom, I thought, and I was looking for clothing, and a friend of mine that I didn't figure anybody would know me in that neighborhood. And he called me and said, "Sergeant Morris." And I'm thinking at that time, I said, "Oh my God, I'm having a nervous breakdown. I'm flashing back. I'm having a nervous breakdown." Because nobody knew me there. I'd been out of the Marine Corps 10 years by then. Okay. So, and so called me the second time, I'm thinking somebody's going to pick me up and I'm going to wake up in the loony bin. But anyway, he found me, make a long story short, we talked, we studied, and he was in charge of the training program at that Goodwill. I didn't know Goodwill had a training program until then. And that's how I got into the insurance industry. And then within that industry, I wanted to open my own firm and I needed money. And I got financed through that firm. And I realized then that I could help other people. And with helping other people, that made the difference because when you can provide money to people, and you see the change on their face from desperate loss and don't know what to do to you see the life come back into their bodies. God, that's amazing. So I saw it in the insurance industry, and I saw it in the funding industry, and I never looked back because there was hope and solution all at the same time. And okay.
Right. It's a beautiful thing, Roosevelt, and thank you for sharing this with us. Because there are so many people out there that have gone through struggles, whether it be through relationship and divorce and everything, but also with financial struggles and trying to keep their doors open of their businesses and losing their businesses and jobs if they were employed by these companies for many, many years. Many people right now, Roosevelt, are finding themselves hopefully not in as bad straits as you were, but they're having to start businesses all over again, or even if they've never had a business, now they've got to learn how to have one. So thank goodness for companies such as yours to be able to help people with getting the funding that they need and the money that they need when they need it. But also too, for people, I know that your company also helps people to work on building their credit up for such things too. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. That's a great statement because in my business, the one thing that usually stops businesses from getting the funding is their credit. And so we realized over the years that this is not working. We're funding maybe 20% of the businesses where the other 80% are left out. Okay, so what we decided was that we were gonna partner with a sister company, and so what we had to do was get permission from Experian. So we got licensing from Experian to be able to offer to look at people's credit. So when we talk to them, we don't say, "Okay, great, you don't qualify, so you have to do it like the banks." What we decided to do was, "Oh, this is where you are," and so we educate people on where they are, and we have programs and actions in place that help them address each and every piece of that, so that when we can get them to the strength of like breaking your leg or something. The doctor would bandage you up to find out what the problem is, bandage you up so that you can heal properly, so that when you decide to start walking again, your healing is just as strong, if not stronger in most cases, than it was before. So nobody can ever tell you that. So if an athlete breaks their leg, they fix it and repair it, and they get back out there. And we want you back out there. So we educate you on credit, and we educate you on finance and where you are, so that you'll be stronger and you will prosper faster, and you'll be better than you were. It's kind of like the $6 million man, but you'll be better than you were before. And we don't just fund you today and say, "Hey, okay, and pay us and we'll be good." But we fund you and educate you so that when you decide to grow, we already have a package in place so you can grow on that path continuously. So you don't have to come back in and say, "Hey, I need to refund, blah, blah." We already know where you are. So you don't have to, get things back on track and reprove yourself. And so that's what's needed. And with the way things are today, consumer financing helps in the fact that if you're starting back up, whereas you may not be able to get a loan because you have no track record over the last few months, but consumer financing helps you to be able to start, and finance helps your clients get into place, and that funds you so that you can, since you're funding them and you're funding you at the same time. So that's what makes that so much of a great thing.
Right. And so, Roosevelt, this goes into the talks that you and I have had about your philosophy on life and how you see things as having a stool with three different legs for the strength that it gives, that stability that it gives that stool, that to you, that's what life is that three-legged stool. Can you share a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, indeed. Over the years, in my experiences, just personally in my experience and in seeing how other people that we've helped in life and deal with life, we know that a lot of businesses suffer, when they lose the finances that they built, their dreams, their livelihood. So with their finances, so it affects their relationships within their families and with their communities, for suppliers and family and employees, and how it affects their health, because they're stressing daily, weekly, monthly over how they're going to keep their business running, how they're going to feed their family, how they're going to feed their employees. So all these things, and in my opinion, nothing really matters but those three things. Because in your finances, if you don't have the money to do the things that you need to do, it's going to affect your relationships. And it affects your relationship because what's the main thing that people argue about in a relationship? Money. And what does that do? That cause problems with the relationship. And what does that do? They cause stress, which has an issue with health. Or they get so burned out they don't know what to do in the relationship, so they strike out, and it affects their health. Okay, and the strength of that relationship and the strength of that person's body, mind, and soul. And it still wraps back around to financing, because if you hurt yourself relationship-wise, it breaks up the relationship, which means you got to struggle and find out how to put that balance back, find out who you are again, and it affects your health because you're stressing. And what's the main cause of most of the diseases today? Stress. Okay. Right? You don't have to strike out people. You can hit their minds, their soul, their emotion, and stress does it. And if you're stressing or you're sick or whatever, you can't make any money. So you don't have any finance. So it's a tight circle. And your life is the stool that you're sitting on, or those three legs. And you're sitting on those two legs, and one of those legs are weak, and it's affecting others, so it's wobbly. And if your life is wobbly, you're stressing because you're trying to fix it, And if you got all these different things happening, you can't do it. So that's what I experienced. That's why when I lost my job, I lost my wife, and my health suffered. So I had to fix one to get to the other ones, or try to fix two to make sure the other one was straight. So, yeah. And so I talk about that because I know the stresses and the problems. Business owners come to me, and young people looking like old people because of stress. And then just the fact that we can flow money back to them or give them a system to help them to get back on track. And then a life goes back into them, and then they can flourish and prosper. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
And Roosevelt, that's why I am honored and blessed to have you be with 133 approved funding, being the sponsor of the Rise Above show with Patricia Jo Grover, being a sponsor of the Rise Above Summit, and all Rise Above things that I am working with, because those things are so important, and how those connect. And with the summit, we have the different dimensions of life, and we know, and just your story shares and shows that all things, these dimensions, intertwine with each other, and just the support that we can get as we help people rise above in all dimensions of their life, it makes such a huge difference.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so honored to be a part of your structure and your system and the Rise Above and your show, is that I can see the passion that you have, and just the truth and the strength and the usability to other people of your services. And having experienced just your services myself, I see the benefit of it. So I know that what you teach and what you show is real, and the fact that you're sharing other people's strengths and other people's knowledge, and that helps, because you know that you don't have everything, and you pulling in all these other strengths from other speakers and business owners that will help the public. Just the fact that you're doing that tells me that you're first of all, you're legit. You care about people. You know what people have felt in their life, and you've experienced some of those hardships yourself. So you don't want other people to experience those things. And who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want the help from somebody like who does that? Only somebody who cares. And what it costs, the investment that I made to do this is nothing compared to the investment you're putting into everybody else. So I would support you as long as possible because you're legit, and that's what I'm looking for. Legit businesses that help people. Period.
Thank you, Roosevelt.
Mhm.
And so, Roosevelt, do you have any gifts for our viewers and listeners? Again, they're gonna get to see you on the Rise Above Summit in two dimensions of life. They're gonna get to hear from you in the social dimension, and they're going to get to hear from you in the financial dimension. We're going to share more information about what we were kind of just sampled them with today. But do you have any gifts for the viewers and listeners listening to us today?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, normally I would just give out one thing, about credit. Okay, but I've seen over the last year or so that people, and just going back to the three-legged stool, people are suffering in all areas. So today, if you text Rise Above to 26786, I'm going to provide you with a booklet, one of my books, which is actually a chapter from one of my books of relationships, how to work on your relationships, also credit repair, and also about your health, how to maintain your health. So it's pretty much the three C's of life. It's like you have the cash, okay, you got the credit, and you got your health, okay. So because I want you to see. You can see what you're doing if you write it down. I've written down so many things, and you bring it out of you can repair it if you're aware of it. So I'm going to provide those three things on finances, okay, on credit, and on your health and relationship,
Oh,
okay. So
wonderful.
just text Rise Above to 26786, and you'll get that.
All right, Roosevelt, and his website's below here for anyone who wants to reach out to him. For anybody who'd like to find out more about me, if you go to patriciajogrover.com, you'll have information there. But if you text the word goal, GOAL, to 26786, if you're in the continental US. But if you're outside the continental US, if you text the word goal to 1-866-926-4020, you'll have things come right to your inbox. And in the meantime, thank you for being with me for another episode of the Rise Above Show. And I have a little video for us on the way out.